Welcome back to Roots and Roasts, where we dive deep into expert plant care and coffee culture. Today, we're covering the Hoya Carnosa, better known as the wax plant, a tropical trailing beauty known for its thick, glossy leaves and clusters of fragrant, star-shaped flowers. Whether this plant was a gift or something you picked up yourself, if you want to keep it thriving indoors, this guide will show you exactly how. Hoya carnosa is native to Eastern Asia and Australia. In its natural habitat, it grows as a vining epiphyte, often climbing trees and absorbing filtered light in humid forests. Its name, wax plant, comes from the thick, succulent-like leaves and the waxy texture of its blooms, which can perfume an entire room when mature. Start your Hoya in a 6 to 8 inch pot. Only size up when the roots are tight or visible at the bottom. Hoyas actually perform better when they're a little root-bound. It encourages flowering. Best containers are ceramic or glazed terracotta. Balances moisture, plastic with drainage. Lighter and great for hanging and hanging baskets or trellis containers. Allow the vines to trail or climb, just like in the wild. Hoyas hate soggy soil. Always let the soil dry out 75 to 85% before watering again. For reference, in a 6 to 8 inch pot, that typically means watering every 10 to 14 days. Larger pots hold more moisture, so water slightly less often. If there's one factor that determines whether your Hoya grows or blooms, it's light. Hoyas are tropical epiphytes. In their native environments in Southeast Asia and Australia, they climb up trees to capture dappled, bright light filtering through the canopy. That's what you need to recreate indoors for long-term success. Bright, indirect sunlight. This is the gold standard. Think light shadow, not harsh rays. It should be bright enough to read by without turning on a lamp, but not enough to cast sharp shadows. Best natural placements. East-facing window. Gets soft morning sun, excellent year-round. West-facing window provides strong afternoon light. Filter it with a sheer curtain. South-facing window, usable if diffused through blinds or curtains. North-facing window may be too dim unless you're in a highlight region or supplement with a grow light. Can Hoyas handle direct sun? Yes, but only in moderation. A few hours of gentle morning sun before 11 a.m. can encourage tighter growth and richer color. Avoid harsh midday and afternoon sun, which can scorch the leaves, especially in summer. Signs of too much sun: yellow or bleached patches on leaves, especially the upper surface. Crispy leaf edges or brown spot. Solution: move the plant a few feet back or use a UV filtering sheer curtain to soften the light. Hoyas grown in low light may produce long, leggy vines with wide gaps between leaves called stretching or etiolation. Grow very slowly or stop altogether. Fail to bloom, even if they're mature and root-bound. They may also drop leaves over time or develop a washed-out green appearance instead of that deep, waxy sheen. If you live in a dim apartment, have few windows, or experience long winters, a full-spectrum grow light is your best investment. Setup tips: choose a full-spectrum LED light rated for indoor plants, ideally 5,000 to 6,500 K color temperature. This mimics daylight. Hang or place the light 6 to 12 inches above the plant. Leave it on for 12 to 14 hours per day, especially during fall-winter. Use a timer to maintain a consistent cycle. As the sun shifts throughout the year, so does indoor light intensity and duration in winter. Consider moving your Hoya closer to a window or running a grow light full dash time in summer. You may need to pull it back slightly to avoid overexposure. For Hoya carnosa, light is fuel. Without enough of it, you'll get a trailing plant but not much else. With the right light, you'll see tight leaf spacing, vibrant color, strong growth, and eventually, those iconic star-shaped blooms. If you're not getting results, don't guess. Adjust your light. It's the #1 most common reason Hoyas underperform indoors. Let's talk about feeding your Hoya, because even though it's not a heavy feeder, The right nutrients at the right time can mean the difference between a plant that simply survives and one that thrives and blooms. Feed monthly during the active growing season, typically March through September, depending on your climate. If your Hoya is under grow lights year-round, you can continue feeding, but at half strength during the fall and winter. If it's a natural light, pause all fertilizing in the colder months. Growth slows and nutrients can build up in the soil, which may damage the roots. What kind of fertilizer should you use? It depends on your goal. For healthy foliage and general growth, use a balanced liquid houseplant fertilizer. That's nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium, or NPK. For blooming encouragement, especially for mature Hoyas, use a bloom booster formula with higher phosphorus content. This helps direct the plant's energy toward flower bud development once it has enough light, warmth, and root restriction to trigger blooming. Organic versus synthetic fertilizers. Both can work. Here's how to choose. Overuse can cause salt buildup, leading to leaf tip burn. Always follow the dilution rate and flush the soil every few months by running clean water through the pot to prevent toxicity. Downside: may have strong smells or require more frequent application due to lower nutrient concentration. Fertilizer mistakes to avoid. Don't fertilize dry soil. It can burn roots. Don't over-fertilize hoping to speed up growth. Hoyas grow slowly and react poorly to excess salts. Don't mix multiple fertilizers unless you're experienced. Combining nutrients can unbalance soil pH or salt level. Don't use granular outdoor fertilizers indoors. They're too harsh for potted houseplants. When it comes to repotting a Hoya Carnosa, less is more. Hoyas are epiphytic by nature. In the wild, they grow on tree branches with very little root space. As a result, they actually thrive when slightly root-bound. A snug pot encourages flowering and healthier growth because the plant shifts its energy from root expansion to shoot and bloom development. Signs it's time to repot. Roots growing out of the drainage holes. A clear sign the root system has maxed out the current container. Water runs straight through the pot. This indicates the soil is too compacted or root-bound to absorb water effectively. Stunted growth or leaf drop with no pest issues. If your Hoya was previously growing well but suddenly stops, old soil or overcrowding might be the issue. Soil degradation or compaction. If the soil smells sour or has compacted to the point where water pools at the top, it's time for a refresh. How to size up. Correctly, only go up 1 to 2 inches in pot diameter. Oversized pots increase the risk of overwatering, since there's more soil volume than root mass to absorb it. Repotting your Hoya is less about routine and more about responding to the plant's needs. Check the roots, keep the new pot snug, and use the right soil mix. And your plant will reward you with growth, vigor, and eventually those iconic blooms. Let's talk about what's arguably the most overlooked element in long-term Hoya health: the soil. Hoya Carnosa is not your typical houseplant. It's a semi-succulent epiphyte, meaning in its native habitat it grows on trees, not in dense soil. That's why the substrate you choose needs to mimic those light, fast-draining conditions. The mix should feel light, gritty, and breathable, not compact or muddy. When you water, it should moisten the root zone evenly, drain within 30 to 60 seconds, and leave no water pooling in the pot after 1 to 2 minutes. 2 parts all-purpose indoor potting soil. Provides base nutrition and some moisture retention. Use a peat-free option if possible. Coconut coir-based blends are more sustainable. 1 part perlite or orchid bark. Adds airflow and prevents compaction. Perlite is excellent for drainage. Bark mimics the epiphytic habit and retains pockets of air. 1 part cocoa coir or peat moss. Provides gentle moisture retention without waterlogging. Cocoa coir has a more neutral pH, doesn't compact as easily as peat, and holds water evenly. Optional boosters for advanced growers. 1 teaspoon horticultural charcoal. Improves drainage and reduces toxins. A dash of worm castings. Adds gentle nutrition over time. Why not use pre-made succulent soil? While succulent or cactus mixes do drain quickly, they often lack the organic structure Hoyas still benefit from. Hoyas want air, yes, but also some moisture retention and microbial activity. If your soil holds water too long, your Hoya will suffer. If it drains too fast without holding any moisture, your Hoya will dry out and stall. The sweet spot? A well-aerated, slightly moist, breathable mix. When in doubt, make it chunkier. Your Hoya's roots need to breathe. While Hoya Carnosa is considered a low-maintenance plant, even the healthiest Hoyas can become a magnet for pests, especially when they're under environmental stress. Poor airflow, inconsistent watering, low humidity, or lack of cleaning can leave the plant vulnerable. The good news? These pests are treatable, especially when caught early. Let's break down the main culprits and how to handle each one. White, fuzzy clusters, like bits of cotton, often at leaf nodes, undersides, or where leaves meet stems. These insects suck plant sap, weakening growth and eventually deforming new leaves. Mealy bugs also excrete honeydew, which can lead to sooty mold. Dab clusters with 70% isopropyl alcohol on a cotton swab. It dissolves their wax coating. Spray the entire plant with neem oil weekly for 2 to 3 weeks. Isolate the plant during treatment to prevent spread. Spider mites. Look for fine webbing, especially under leaves or at the base of stems. Leaves may look speckled, dry, or have a silvery sheen. Common in dry indoor environments. Mites thrive in low humidity. Treatment plan. Increase humidity. Spider mites hate moist air. Rinse the plant in the shower with lukewarm water to physically remove them. Follow up with insecticidal soap or neem oil spray, ensuring you cover the undersides of the leaves. Repeat every 5 to 7 days until symptoms disappear. Aphids. These are small, soft-bodied insects, green, black, or brown, that cluster around new growth or flower buds. They suck sap and cause distortion in young leaves. Also excrete honeydew, inviting ants and mold. Treatment plan. Rinse off with water or spray with diluted Castile soap, 1 teaspoon per quart of water. Apply neem oil or permethrin-based spray for heavier infestations. Remove heavily infested buds if necessary. To prevent pest infestations before they start, cleanliness is key. Wipe down the leaves monthly with a damp cloth or microfiber towel. This removes dust that can harbor pests and improves photosynthesis. Airflow and spacing. Poor airflow allows moisture and pests to build up. Use a small oscillating fan nearby if your Hoya is part of a dense plant shelf. Keep at least a few inches of space between plants. Quarantine new plants. Always isolate new plants for 7 to 10 days before placing them with your main collection. Use neem oil spray 0.5 to 1% once a month as a preventative. It works as both a repellent and growth disruptor for many common indoor pests. Think of pest management like oral hygiene for your plant. It's a lot easier to prevent problems than to treat them once they spread. Stay consistent with cleaning, airflow, and inspections, and your Hoya will remain strong, clean, and pest-free year-round. Hoyas are known for their glossy leaves, but the real prize is their bloom, a cluster of porcelain-like, star-shaped flowers that often smell like chocolate or honey, depending on the variety. But here's the catch. They won't bloom unless very specific conditions are met. It's not hard, but it does require consistency and patience. Here's how to give your Hoya what it needs to flower. Hoyas don't want extra space. In fact, they bloom best when slightly root-bound. A tight pot sends a biological signal to the plant to focus on reproduction, i.e., flowering, rather than leaf or root expansion. Hoyas are tropicals. They thrive in warm, stable environments. The sweet spot for blooming is between 68 and 75 degrees Fahrenheit, with nighttime temps not dropping below 60 degrees Fahrenheit. Drafts, especially from air conditioners or cold windows, can delay blooming or stop it altogether. Most Hoyas, especially H. Carnosa, can survive in normal household humidity, 30–50%, but to bloom, they often need 60 to 80% humidity, especially during the active growing season. One of the most misunderstood parts of Hoya care: do not cut off those long tendrils. Hoyas send out runners, also called peduncles or spurs, and when they mature, the plant produces blooms from them year after year. If you trim these thinking they're empty vines, you're cutting off future flowers. Getting a Hoya to bloom isn't just luck. It's about respecting the plant's natural cycle and dialing in the environment. Tight roots, strong light, warm temps, and patience. When those waxy blooms finally show up, sometimes after a year or more, you'll know it was worth it.